Our mission statement basically is we create clients that create our next clients.
Welcome back to the Real Producers Podcast. I am your host, Remington Ramsey, and today we have two very special guests, Alan and Betsy Thompson, and they have a very unique story besides the fact that they are rock stars in real estate, and we'll get to all your successes there. One of the big reasons we're talking to you today is you guys have been in the rare situation that both of you are cancer survivors. And it's tough when anyone has family that goes through that. You were put in the predicament of both of you at one point in time going through that and what that does to the family. So we would love to hear your story, but then also talk about your successes in real estate and what you think is going on in the market. So welcome to the podcast.
Thanks. Great to be here.
So I think a good place to start is from the beginning. Were you guys together when you guys first got together? That was before any of the cancer scares. And if you just, Alan, want to kind of walk us through your first bout, what did that look like?
Actually, my cancer bout was before Betsy. We say some things are before Betsy. I was in real estate. I was a real estate broker running a large RE/MAX operation. I was still in the military reserves. And so very active doing that. And I was training, thought I was going to get activated to have to deploy in the reserves. I was out running, passed out. It was June 6th, 2000. I remember the date. And then they went and got checked out, thought I was just dehydrated. And when they checked me, my white blood cell count was way off. So they sent me straight to the hospital and poked and prodded, checked for all those male cancers and couldn't find it. So I came back the next day and they did a full body scan and found an 1.5 inch lump underneath in my left breast. So I'm a rare male breast cancer survivor. 4 days later, they had me at Duke University in surgery. And fortunately, it's 20 some years later now, and everything's great for me.
And what's crazy to me about that story is how your first sign of anything happened 4 days before you were in the hospital. Like you passing out was the first sign of anything. And then all of a sudden it's go time. Yeah. They acted so quickly. Quick. Yeah. Yeah. So since then, I mean, it's, you're right. It is rare. Have you met with a lot of other men that have dealt with that?
Yeah. Of course, for me, as a male, I told people it was kind of a triple whammy for me. First I got cancer, then I had some female cancer, and then I had to go to Duke University, and I'm a Tar Heel. I went to the University of North Carolina. So it was really bad. But at first, even after it, I kind of said I had chest cancer because, really, here I was, ex-Army Special Forces officer, and so, but I was at a conference. And Margaret Kelly, who used to be the president of RE/MAX, was on the stage and talking about she had recently went through breast cancer and asked everybody to stand up that had breast cancer in the audience. And I stood up, and of course, it caught a lot of attention because I was the only male there. Sure. And after that, it became easier to talk about it. And I ended up serving on the Komen breast cancer board of directors for a while, and a couple of articles got published about it. And the best thing was not long after that, somebody that had seen it said they talked to their brother about it because he had a lump on his chest and turned out he had breast cancer. So, you feel like, well, that makes it worth talking about.
So the catalyst for you wanting to talk about it was the initial support you got when you finally stood and said, yeah, this is what I had, and not trying to make it something that it's not. And then from that, the opportunity to impact someone else that you might not have gotten to had you not been so bold about it.
Yep, that was it. So that really, from that point on, I said, okay, I have to be willing to talk about this.
That's incredible. So then that prepared you for then the emotions of what happened when Betsy, and I want to hear your story, Betsy. So when did you guys get together?
We got together in 2008, right? Yeah.
She confirmed it. Yeah. So
usually he's better than me at that. Yeah.
So when you guys got together, what share your story, Betsy? When you guys first got together, I mean, it was probably I don't know. Was it years before you were diagnosed?
So I first was diagnosed with cancer when I was 12 weeks pregnant. And so you can't do anything at that point. And then afterwards, I had surgery. I think it was 6 weeks after I gave birth. And then I was diagnosed with MS January of 2000, not long after that. And so then when that came on and I started having relapses, they do a huge infusion of steroids, which is a 5-hour steroid infusion, which what a lot of people don't know also breaks your body down to other things, which made my cancer come back invasive. So I went from zero cancer to, within 3 months, invasive cervical cancer again. So I had my second bout then. And at that point it was, baby number 2 or, me be around for baby number 1. So I had a radical hysterectomy, cut hip to hip, and now I'm perfect. So
yeah. Well, if you don't mind digging into the details of how that felt, I know it's been years since then, but what are the emotions you go through being pregnant and being diagnosed with cancer?
I guess, I guess it's more like, you just want to, get through it. And, I believe that, I'm very strong. I have a very strong faith base. So for me, it's, what's supposed to happen is to happen. And I truly believe I got one perfect child, because I really do have a perfect child. So we have a perfect child, but I got one perfect child, and God knew what he was doing by just giving me one, because I couldn't handle more.
Yeah.
But I do. We have a perfect daughter.
Yeah.
And, I think that was.
I think it was just, it was pretty emotional because there was a lot happening at once, and it kind of caught us off guard, and but it was, it's something we went through, and it's made us stronger and better. And like she said, we really appreciate, I think, our one daughter being the only child. She appreciates it, likes it, I think, but
she didn't always. She used to always say, I'd like to have a sibling. I'm like, well, sorry, kid.
Yeah.
Got no insides here.
But, remind me again, were you guys both in real estate at the time?
No, not during that time.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
He was in a non-compete, and I was in, I was at that point in time.
When I sold the real estate company, I had a 3-year non-compete and couldn't sell real estate for 3 years. So I was actually doing some consulting and advising, and she was actually working in Williamsburg, and she was a top timeshare salesperson.
Yeah, I heard. So you guys met at a timeshare company, and walk me through the details of her not wanting you to get a leadership role. This almost didn't happen. So
my revolt.
Yes, when the timeshare company, I went up there and hung my broker's license to be the broker there. And there was a leadership position came up in the company, and to run, they had a couple of teams, and so to run a team. And so me coming from the real estate industry, they usually didn't like us, but there was a position open.
We didn't like them at all because they weren't good.
And so a leadership position was open up there, and the VP had asked me to interview for it. And they had like 8 people interview, and they wanted somebody that had been there for years, that was their friend and had come up the system with all of them, and not somebody from the outside. And so as it turned out, I got the job, and Betsy took all of her friends, and they met at an off-site restaurant and had lunch, and decided to come back and throw a revolt against me getting the position. And we had never talked prior to that. And so this
you
is
didn't like me because I was loud.
Yeah, this is basically how we met for the most part. So she came back, told the VP. The VP called me in and said, "Hey, you're going to have a tough road. You still want to do this?" And I said, "Yes, I'll take it." And basically looked at her and said, "Okay, now you work for me. We've got to talk."
Oh, that's funny.
She led the revolt to not get me in that position. It was funny.
But you went and had dinner that night, right?
So it was like a couple of weeks later when he decided to take everybody out.
So a couple of weeks later, I'm trying to bond with my, the team. I told them we could all go across the street. Now, the place across the street happened to be Hooters. and they had an all-you-can-eat wings. And I had told the team that everybody go across the street to Hooters on all-you-can-eat wing night. I got held up a little bit with doing business. So the whole team was there. I called over, gave them my credit card. They were all over there. So by the time I got there, it was 2 guys and Betsy, and they had to leave. Their wives were calling them saying, hey, get home, get home. So it left Betsy and I just sitting there. And so we ended up talking for hours and hours.
I knew I was going to marry him that night.
I did not know she had thought that yet.
Oh, that's so funny. So you won her over pretty quick.
Yep.
So
what was it? Well, maybe you don't remember this, but you were pretty bold in saying, like, I knew that night. What was it about? What was it about the conversation?
We talked about everything. I mean, like, just everything. And it was just like, just listening to, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm
very quick to make my decisions.
Yeah.
I'm trying to win over the one that's tried to get me fired, didn't want me. So I'm just trying to, bond with a team member. But the real thing was, when I walk her out, because it's late, and I walk her over to her car, and then
I tried to kiss him, but I'm very bold.
Yeah.
And I'm persistent, and this is part of my listing presentation. I get what I want.
Yeah.
You get it,
Okay.
So she tells the story.
Yeah. So like
you tell that story in your listing appointment?
Yes. I mean, I'm persistent.
I love it. So
it took me a week to get him to kiss me.
Because I wouldn't kiss her.
A week.
Well, how long before you had your first kiss then?
A week.
A week. Oh,
and we went on dates every day from that day. And it took him a week to kiss me. A week.
Oh man. Alan, you should write a book.
He started one.
As the book has started. We have started a book.
I love it. You both should. All right. So from that time, you guys have moved all over the country, mostly in sunny parts, and then decided to move home and start it. My notes say you've always seeked to be in leadership roles wherever you guys go. We're out in California, then Florida. What were the reasons for the moves?
We went to California for adventure, and we were young. Betsy, with the timeshare company, she was the top trainer in the company. She was director of training, and she had an opportunity to go out there. And so we went to California, and it was, said, if we're ever going to do this and live in a city and try it, it was great. And so we did, and decided we loved it, but it definitely wasn't the place we wanted to raise our daughter. And so we thought, we're going to go to Florida, probably retire to Florida. It's back on the East Coast. Betsy's entire family lives within 20 minutes of where we live now. So in Virginia. So we thought we'd come back, and we went to Florida, and we had a great house and a great gated community, golf course community in Destin, Florida, which is beautiful. But what most people don't understand is Destin in the winter only has about 8,000 permanent residents. And the vast majority of those are over the age of 70, probably. And so we didn't know when we moved there that Destin doesn't even have a high school, because our daughter was in first grade. And so we didn't
go across the bridge either way.
We had to go forever to get there. So Betsy didn't have a lot of friends there because there were not a lot of people her age and didn't have a lot of kids. And so she was not real happy. So happy wife, happy life. Yeah. So we came back home.
I started selling real estate there. I joke. I sold a house to his friend.
Okay. You've come a long way since then, Betsy.
Yes, a long way. So he said, let's go home. So we came home, and
it's been crazy.
He said, look, we're only going to do it one way, and we're going to work by referral because you have so many people back here. We started our database while we were sitting there, came back here.
And is your territory known as Coastal Virginia?
It is.
Yes.
And so you guys decided to start, quote unquote, the agency, and you have grown substantially year after year, 25% every single year. You don't buy leads, you're referral based. What do you attribute your success in this market? I mean, especially when it's been a market for the last, 8 or 9 years where you could be fat and happy and kind of just sit back and let it come to you. The last 2 years have been strange. So how do you continue to see that same success when it's not the same market?
Well, our people, we've never bought a lead. So our people bring us our business. And they are the people that care about us because we care more about them than we do about ourselves. We are very community driven. And so we give back. And I always say the more that you give, the more that you receive without even trying. We host huge events in this area. We do 4 big events a year, but we are constantly touching our database and loving on them. And we love our people. And because of
what
that,
what are some ways you do that? I think sometimes people hear these, statements and they either think, yeah, I do that. And they're not, because they don't actually understand what you're talking about, or they have no idea what you're talking about. So can you get in the weeds on that for a second? What does that mean? You love on your database? Do you physically go and...
Yep. We do anywhere from, I handwrite all of my birthday cards, which is an insane amount of them that are all, I handwrite them. We deliver donuts from a local donut factory. We are big in our community, so we support local. We make businesses happen here. Especially new businesses. We've created businesses. Our next door neighbor is Big Ugly. It's a brewery. On the Monday night before St. Patrick's Day, they are closed for just us. We have 4 hours where our people come in. We'll have about 450 to 500 people. We provide the beer, the food truck. At the end of the night, somebody wins a mortgage payment. We have big, huge vendor gifts that are given away to our people. And it is just like celebrity night for me. I love it. And then we do things at the farm. It's a local farm of ours. We have about 700 people come in. We have 2 food trucks. They put pumpkins, strawberries, depending on the time. Very big with the kids. Kids are like, when is Betsy and Alan's pumpkin? They know it's coming.
We do. We live in a strong military community, so we have 700 houses that 3 times a year we put flags in their yard to post the yard. We have, our mission statement basically is we create clients that create our next clients. So we have to be so good. That experience has to be so good with our clients that they bring us our next ones. And so that's why we don't buy leads and prospect like a traditional agent does.
Sure.
We literally last year, 94% of our business called us to say, can you list my house? Can you sell me a house? So, it's a little bit different.
Right.
Alan, I know you had a rough upbringing and you basically raised yourself. Do you feel like your childhood and your own life experiences has led you to this place where you feel like I'm trying to figure out how to put this. You understand what it's like to be on the other side, and you want to just give all the love to the people that aren't experiencing it because of where you came from?
Oh, absolutely. I, like I said, I grew up, I went in and out of the, foster care system, in and out of child protective services, and basically knew that my way out was to join the military. And I joined the military and it was great. It really made me see who I was. And so I believe I like survivors. I really believe that. And I think everybody needs a chance and giving somebody a home, because growing up, I never had a house. I never lived in a house for my whole life. And so I think that's pretty important.
Yeah. You can go from never having your home to call your own to selling homes to everyone. That is your main role. I have a note from Bobby, our director of product growth, who you got a chance to meet, about your definition of lucky. What is your definition of lucky?
I just always think that, we are lucky, and lucky, I think, the harder you work, the luckier you get. And lucky is just putting yourself in the right place so that luck can happen. I think we do the right things all the time. And if we always keep doing the right things, then the right things happen. And some people say we're very lucky. We think we work very hard to be that lucky.
And we do. And I think one of the things that, what people don't get, and we talk about this all the time, is we have a very great marriage. But I think a lot of it is because we work together, and it takes a lot to understand this world. And the reason why we can be so successful is because we work together. And I think that's a very hard thing for people to do if they do not work with their spouse in this industry. Where we were joking the other day because, he'll come to the office at 4:30 in the morning and he'll get home at 9:00 at night. But I'm on my computer until 10 o'clock at night and we'll look at each other and we both understand each other.
Sure.
And, people don't, they're like, how do you spend so much time together? And how do you do this? And a couple of weeks ago, we were at the point of, we were so busy. And yes, we spend a lot of time together. We try to get together every day for lunch. That's how our catch up time. We try to have lunch every day together.
At Hooters.
Well, here's the thing that has become kind of a thing. And so on the anniversary of our date, we have traveled all over and been to Hooters all over the world, including the very first Hooters in Clearwater, Florida. We went to. So that has become a funny thing.
That's funny.
What we really do, a couple of weeks ago, we said, it's amazing. We're so busy. We just need time together. We just took off and went away for 2 days together. But it's crazy that we're always together. So
I have a couple questions for you to end the interview. The first one, we have a lot of listeners who are growth junkies. And so I'm curious if there's anything that you guys do for continuing education outside of like the CE, but like do you read anything, podcasts? What keeps you guys growing? And if you read just novels, I want to know that too.
Yeah. I am the avid reader, audible guy. I go through a book a week, pretty close to it. I mostly Audible because I do a lot of cardio at the gym and I listen to it. And I know that I get once, maybe twice a year, I can give a book to Betsy to read. It has to be just the right one that I know will resonate with how she thinks.
So what was the last one or two books that you gave her that you felt?
Ninja Selling.
I've read that probably 6 times.
Ninja Selling.
My favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You gave me one that was on physical.
Yeah. Oh, how to get younger every year.
How to get younger every year.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I'm working out how you can keep energized and young.
I love it.
Yeah. 7 Levels of Communication was one.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what.
Yes. His wife was my personal coach for years.
Yeah. And as far as learning, we've always had coaches. So
at least one,
sometimes 2 coaches in
within real estate or outside of real estate.
Both. Kind of. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We have.
So you believe in investing into personal coaching?
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Between coaching, consulting, and traveling to conferences, we spend 6 figures a year.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
35 years in the industry. My last question for you guys, and if there's anything that you'd love to use this platform to communicate a message to, feel free to. But hope for the future. We got the next 5 years are weird. We've got a political landscape that is unpredictable. We've got a mortgage industry that was flipped on its head. And for the top producers in all of our markets, they're still finding a way to get it done. If I'm new or if I'm struggling, what is your word of encouragement to me?
I've talked a lot to our agents and to things about, this, I've seen it all. This is the 4th big cycle I've seen in 35 years. And this one's different. But the really thing that matters the most is the deals are going to be harder for the next 6 to 12 months. It's going to be chaotic. What will happen is eventually there will be a cleansing. We will see a reduction of agents at the bottom tier. But as an example, in our market, there's 4,000 agents that did 2 deals or less, but that's 8,000 transactions they took out of the market. Mm-hmm. They will be gone.
Yep.
And so the pie will get smaller over the next couple of years as far as number of transactions and units. We're seeing that. But the top producers and the good agents and the agents that keep their head down and never quit will get a bigger piece of the pie. And that's what's going to happen. So, and it is crazy, politically, things are moving and changing faster than I've ever seen them change. But it still comes down to, if you do the work and put in the hours, it's going to be harder for the next year, but you'll come out on top when it's over.
I love it. Anything from you, Betsy?
No, I mean, I think that where a lot of people have put so much money into online leads and stuff like that, I think that those of us who have really, really worked our sphere and stuff like that are the ones that are going to come out on the highest. tier of the top, because those people are people are realizing how much that agent that truly cares and is going to be there and has the most knowledge base. They're not just picking up that person who is answering the phone that one time. They're wanting that person with the biggest knowledge base now. It's not just anybody can sell a house in this market.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting to me, all the things that are attacking the industry of real estate and all the disruptors, but improvers and changes. And it seems like we always get to a point where we realize, oh, shoot, one thing that never changes is our ability to connect with people. And those are the ones that are continuing, regardless of what's going on around us, continuing to thrive. And it seems like you guys have tapped into that.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Alan and Betsy, thanks for being on. This has been Real Producers Podcast. We'll catch you next time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Raymond.